Afternoon. This is Minister Dr. Akila Ka Ma'at coming at you live. And like normal, I've got to do a little check on the YouTube to make sure it's showing up. And let me see here. It's taking a minute to register. And I want to check my volume. I have no idea why it's coming up as portrait, but c'est la vie, c'est la vie, c'est la vie. This should not be in portrait. This should be in landscape modality. Welcome, 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 welcome. Yes, I apologize for not being here yesterday, Thursday at 2:30, which is the regular time for this. I did change it to 7, and then I realized that I was just not going to be able to do this yesterday. So again, this is not the norm. You know, I'm usually here for all those who have been watching and coming and participating, either during the live stream or after. It just could not be helped. And ideally, it will never happen again. Although you should never say never. And that's even a messed up thing to say, never say never. But I am back. So welcome. And as you know, before we get started, I have to do some housekeeping. I think it's important to share that if you're here and you are just engaged with this material in any way, shape, or form, please hit subscribe and also do notifications so that you are aware of new videos that come. It's not just all live streams. There are other videos that I upload. Hit the notification so that you are aware. The subscribe and also the liking what you see, especially if you're here longer then I would think 3 minutes if you're listening and something is resonating. The subscribe and like, I'm not sure how the notifications work, the algorithm, but definitely the subscribe and the like allows the algorithm to pick up these live streams, these videos for people who want to hear these messages. If you find these messages are resonating. Okay, that's a little bit of housekeeping there. And additionally, if something is working for you, please comment. Comments help others to discern the way in which this message may fall for others. And if you're here now or later in the chat or in the comments, please write in capital letters Khat, K-H-A-T. That is the body coming home to the body, right? In the AKH ASCENSION series. This is the first part of the first gate of Ka, which is Khat. And so, right, Khat in all caps, K-H-T, if you are here now or later. As you can see, I have a microphone here. This is sort of the new setup that I'm working toward to make the tonality a bit more comfortable and a bit more tight than the built-in microphone in my MacBook Pro, right? Because it's a little airy. So I'm trying to bring some resonance and tight to my voice for these live streams. So please comment, like, and subscribe. The like and subscribe is for others, not so much for me. Okay, and I appreciate you for being here. Well, today we are going to do, and one more thing. Let me just show, because many people may not be aware of this, that the Khat, the First Temple Practice Guide, is available on the website, on my website, power-profit.com. And this is the practice guide that you will take with you to actually sit in the practice I'm going to teach you about today. The QR code takes you directly to the community page, which has community resources. Okay, so QR code, or you can get it in the description for this live stream. And also, um, you can access the website through the description on the channel. So thank you so much for that. And again, these are free guides. All right. The Khat guide does not require any email subscription. It is freely available to all who need it. Now, the complete AKH Ascension series companion guide will require an email subscription. It is the entire 9 bodies of light practice, right? So that is there as well on the website. So let's just get going today, okay? This is a short live stream. And again, thank you all who are here watching. And this is teaching the practice. The actual guided practice occurs in the temple community, which is now active. I'll show you that QR code to join. We do the live dark awake circles weekly, utilizing these practices that I teach you about. Here, we actually do the guided sessions in the temple, and I'll show you that QR code later. But welcome back, okay? Again, I'm Minister Dr. Akila Ka, and this is Khat Practice and the Dark Awake. So this is the 3rd day of our week together this week. And I want to tell you honestly what today is and what it is not. So that, and yes, excuse me, I do have my notes on the screen with me today instead of in front of me with my laptop. So if I'm looking off to the side, I'm referencing my notes, my friends, or at least trying to see where I'm at as I'm talking to you. So on Tuesday, I told the truth about the world, right? As we are seeing it here in our social reality now. Last night, I told you the truth about your body, that it was never, ever the problem, okay? And that it is also your first temple. It's your first temple, not the church, not your spiritual community you go to. Your body is the first temple. And today in this live stream, I want to just give you information on how that truth becomes life, right? Because here is what I have learned, and I need you to receive this, please. Insight is just not enough, right? In the power of release, we go through recognition, seeing what's happening like we did on Tuesday, and then Wednesday, we get information regarding what needs to be released and how it needs to be reframed. And today, we do, well, on Thursdays, we do the reframing, right? And that is practice. That's daily practice. You have to practice the insight for it to become real in your life, okay? Understanding that your body is a temple will change your, your life, okay? And so if you want the changes again in your life, you have to practice. Only practice moves you from the door into the actual house. I've watched many beautiful awakened people collect insight, my friends. Collect insight, revelation after revelation, and stay exactly where they are, because no one ever told them that awakening is not the finish line. The awakening is the invitation to practice. And let me say the part of the world, and let me say the part of, and let me say the part the world does not want you to see and even know. The systems that live in, they don't want you to see it and know it. They don't want it to be addressed, and they have done a great deal of work on you in every way so that you remain asleep to the systems that live inside you. And these systems have a daily practice themselves. They have a daily practice. The news has a daily practice on you. The algorithm has a daily practice, my friends. The institution, the boss, the culture, every one of them rehearses you every single day back into the small, contracted, apologizing self. They practice on you daily. And you have to realize that because everything just seems so natural. Like, this is just the way it is, right? This is just how life is. So here's the question that should light a fire in you, my friends. If they have a daily practice, right? And you do not, who wins? Who wins? Not because they are stronger. No, because they are more consistent with this practice. They're more consistent. They know all day, every day. They know. So today is not talk to make you feel good and move on. Today I teach you the practice that reclaims the temple. And this is one of many practices to reclaim the temple. Okay. I will show you what it is, why it works, and how to begin in your home this week. And as I said, I'm Minister Dr. Akila Ka Ma'at, and today we begin building you a daily practice. Okay? So I want to tell you the anatomy of this practice, right? The way I would show you the rooms of a house before you move in. The practice of the Khat, of coming home to the body, has a shape. It moves through a few simple parts, and I want you to understand each one so that when you practice it, my friends, you know what you are doing and why. Okay? And I'm just doing another check just to make sure the sound is working. Yes, I'm a little bit paranoid about this microphone. So forgive me. So, the first part of the practice is arrival. You begin with the breath. You don't want to control your breath. And I have many videos like Cosmic Resonance on the channel that can teach you the breath. But you're not breathing to control it, but to notice it, right? Because the breath is the one place that the temple is always happening, right? The breath is the one place the temple is always happening. Your breath engines the temple, right? You cannot breathe in the past. You cannot breathe in the future. The breath is a doorway that is always standing open into the present, into the body. So, and I'm hesitating because you cannot breathe in the past, you cannot breathe in the future in this particular practice. Okay, this is in the present. So every practice begins by arriving there in your breath, always. A few slow breaths drawn down and released, like settling something down. This is how you cross the threshold. This is the arrival. The second part is the homecoming, what I call the body scan, and we have done that many times on this channel. You move your attention slowly through the body, from the crown of your head to the soles of your feet. But here's what makes this homecoming sacred and different from anything you have done in a doctor's office or at every other place. Mm, You are not judging here, right? You are witnessing. There is no judgment here. You're not determining anything. You are witnessing. And you offer one phrase, uh, this too is the temple, right? The parts you love, this too is the temple. The parts you have been at war with, these two are the temple. It is the temple. It is the practice of walking through your own sanctuary and blessing every room, especially the ones that are locked, right? And you offer one phrase. The phrase could be in your head, your mindfulness. You're scanning mindfully through the parts you love, the parts you've been at war with, right? Walking through your own bodily sanctuary and blessing every piece. The phrase could be blessings, right? That could be the phrase that you offer each part. The phrase could be love. As you are in the crown, you emanate love. As you are in your face, you emanate love. You, the intention is love, right? Even the ones you are at war with, we talked about being too heavy, too dark, right? Those could be the things you're at war with. You emanate love, not as a phrase you're speaking out of your mouth, but as an intention you are directing to each area of your body. The third part, and this is the heart of it, my friends, so much so that I'm going to give it to you in its own teaching, right? And this is the dark awake, which I have talked about several times on this channel and in my book, The Power of Release. It was in the dark awake that I became, right? And this is a deep practice, the one, as I said, that started my journey, all right? And it's important to remember, and you can access what that was like for me in the Power of Release book, okay? Journey from a closed fist to an open hand. And the fourth part of the journey, right? So the dark awake is the meditative space where you fall into Kim, which is considered melanin, which I'm not saying or trying to remove from these discussions. As I've said before, melanin is, the etymology is Greek. Mela means dark and also dirty. And N, of course, in melanin is biology. Kim from ancient African civilization, Kim means black without the dirty. So in the dark awake, you fall. You allow yourself to descend, to take up, to be in Kim, because that is where the power is. You don't seek it, you sit in it, acknowledging that you are embedded, surrounded, taken up by Kim. And as I was saying, the fourth part is the rite, RITE, what I call the temple inventory. This is where the practice becomes a covenant, so to speak. Although this is no way, shape, or form religious, it is a written reflection, a set of honest questions you answer in your own hand, not in AI, not on the computer screen, in Word doc or pages or in notes. It's in your journal. So, yes, I encourage you to get a journal for the AKH Ascension series. And it's a set of honest questions. These questions are in a Khat practice guide. You answer in your own hand. You could download the guide and write it in the guide. That could be part of your journaling. Okay? You answer in your own hand. That turns a beautiful moment of this practice, into lasting agreement with your own body. Because the body remembers what the hand writes down. And it also remembers what you speak into your voice recorder, right? The the writing, the recording, the sitting, Three, 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 it becomes real. Three is harmony, balance. Okay? Arrival, homecoming, the dark awake, and the right. Okay? That's four, but that means security and stability. And yes, I am a numerologist. Security and stability is four. That's the foundation. Okay? Simple enough for a child, but deep enough for a lifetime, my friends. Every part of it is designed to do one thing: to walk you back into the temple you were taught to abandon, and help you to stay in the temple, with the temple, honoring the temple, loving you, your body, who you are, without judgment, without criticism, without containment, freely loving your body. And so let me teach you a little bit about the dark awake, which is really the whole thing, right? And this is where the black light comes in. The black light is the affirmation, the kin light, right? The dark awake. This is the practice I did discover in my own darkest season. They call it the dark night of the soul. And it is the seed that everything I teach grew out of. So let me tell you exactly what it is and why it is unlike anything you may have tried before. The dark awake is exactly as it sounds, right? One, you can rise before dawn, before the light, before the phone, before the world can file its first claim on you. That's the dark awake. You can go out for a walk at night if it's safe. That's another way to meditate in the dark awake. You can go into a closed, contained area if you're not claustrophobic. For me, I would go into my closet. Yes, it was a small walk in, but that's dark awake. My room is black. Not that it's black paint, but I can close the curtains and it becomes like a cave. The dark awake is where you sit in Kim. So where you find it is where you find it, right? And if you rise before the sun, you're not turning on a light, okay? When you get in Kim, you sit or you walk. And walk is an advanced practice of the dark awake. And I'll get into that. I do that in a temple, a more advanced form of being embedded in Kim. In this instance, you sit in the dark, awake. So if your eyes are closed, you're not just like meditation is usually just you just let go, right? You're not really intentional unless you have an intention, unless your meditation is about that. But you're not really awake in the dark. You are different. The dark awake is even if your eyes are closed, you are you are attending to Kim. You're not removing it like when you meditate, you go to sleep. You're not really paying it any attention because you're seeking a different type of meditative state. And then, of course, you're seeking to go to sleep. But in the dark awake, you are intentional to Kim. Okay, you're intentional to it. Your eyes are open into the Kim, even though they're closed. Because behind your eyes lies the cosmos, my friends. And in order for you to see it, experience it, you have to be awake while your eyes are closed. And yes, it takes practice like everything else. Okay? And that is it. That's the practice. But do not let its simplicity fool you, because inside that simplicity is everything. Okay. Yes, I do some checks. I'm still paranoid about this microphone. So, here was what makes it different from the meditation you may have tried and quietly given up on. Okay, and I'm just going to explain this more clearly. I tried to do it in my language, but I have another part that I actually wrote out. Okay, so most meditation tells you to empty your mind, like I just said. You sit down, you try to empty within about 9 seconds. Your mind may have produced the grocery list, an old argument, and that's the thing about meditation. Your thoughts keep coming, right? And what happens is you decide you're bad at it, and you quit because you don't realize that many times you just can't stop your thinking until you get very advanced. And I want you to release all that when you come to this dark awake. It's not about emptying, it's about coming available. So as you are in the Kim, you are awake. You are maintaining an openness available to see without searching or focusing, available because you are awake in the Kim. And that is the whole posture. You are not trying to achieve a blank, perfect mind. Although when these thoughts come, as I've mentioned so many times, you don't grab it and start thinking about it. And then if you do grab it and start thinking about the grocery list, what needs to be on it, you are mindful enough to let it go, to let it go. And that takes practice too. So don't worry about any of that. It comes in time. You make yourself available, right? Your thoughts can come and go like weather. You do not fight them. You do not chase them. You do not capture them and start thinking about that thought. You are just sitting in Kim, in the temple of your body, available, right? And this is how the ancestors said the deeper things come, not to the loud, striving, grasping mind, but to the still Kim, waiting one. And why? Why do we do this with an attention to Kim, the dark awake? Kim awake. Because the dark is not the absence of something. The dark is where everything begins, right? The seed in the dark germinates. The child is formed in Kim, black. The whole universe came out of Kim. For Kim people, especially, we were taught to fear the dark. And I would even say for Caucasians, we're taught to fear the dark because they fear Kim, hence the machinery developed to control and destroy Kim peoples, right? It's tied to everything bad. And that was a theft. That's why the English language is so problematic in describing reality. The dark awake, the Kim awake is where you take the dark back and discover, as I did, that the light you were looking for was in Kim the whole time. And hear this, the threshold is tiny, right? 5 minutes, right? That is the entire ask right now. And you have your practice guide to help you. 5 minutes in the dark. If you need 3 minutes, take the 3 minutes and work up from there. If you want a minute because you've got this active mind, you do the 1 minute. It's your practice. But you want to get to 5 minutes because that really is the beginning of when sight adjusts to Kim. And you want to do it 5 minutes before this world starts screaming for your attention, right? If they get a whole day of practice on you and you give, that's the world, because they are practicing on you. I don't even think it's practice anymore. They're just doing their daily hygiene on you, right? They get a whole day of practice on you and you give yourself 5 true minutes in the temple. You will be astonished, my friends, at what begins to shift. And within weeks, I'm telling you, most people who practice this notice a different quality to their mornings, to their day, a clarity, a steadiness, a sense of being sourced from within in connection with something so large and beautifully profound, instead of thrown around from what's on the outside. That is the dark awake. So, how do you begin tonight, perhaps on your own, or tomorrow? I like I said, I, I have made a free Khat practice guide for you, right? And it's available on the website. The links are in the description, and it holds everything I have just shared with you just now. Okay? It's in your hands. And so you do not have to remember everything I just said here. Okay? Go download it. It's available. As I said again, one more time, the link is in this description of this video. Right? And in that guide, you will find the homecoming body scan written out step by step so you can walk yourself through it. You will find the Dark Awake starter, a simple card to put by your bed so that tomorrow morning, before you reach for your phone, you reach for the practice instead. And you will find the temple inventory, those honest questions to answer in your own handwriting, what your body carried you through that you have never thanked it for. What judgment about your body did you inherit that was never yours? And the covenant, the blessing. My body from today, I will honor you by, and then you have your answers. So here's the assignment for the rest of this week and until we meet again for our next practice video. And it is small on purpose. We all need little baby steps. Download the guide, and tomorrow morning, pre dawn, give yourself 5 minutes before the world gets loud. All right. Sit in the dark awake, right? Sit in the dark, awake, and available. Sit in the dark, awake, and available. That is it. 5 minutes in the temple. You can do this alone with the guide, and it is yours, and it is free, and it is a real beginning. And I mean that. This is not a lesser version. This is true practice, and it will bless you, my friends. And there is a deeper way as well, because there's a difference between practicing alone with your guide in hand and being guided. There is a difference between reading the steps by yourself in the quiet and having me there with you, my voice walking you all the way in, held in the presence of others who are doing the exact same sacred work at the exact same time. That deeper way has a home, and it is called the temple. Inside the temple, every week we gather for what I call dark awake circles. This is where the full guided practice lives, not in taste, but the whole well. I guide you live through the complete homecoming and the full dark awake, longer and deeper than we could ever go here. And you do it in circle, in community, because there is power in the dark that only comes when you are not. sitting alone. The ancestors practice in community as well. They practice in a circle. The dark awake circles are how we take this from a solitary 5 minutes into a communal fire that keeps you consistent when your own willpower runs thin. Okay, and we do it live, and then the videos are uploaded and available for you to run whenever you want. So hear the two paths clearly because both are real and both are honorable. You can walk this alone with the free guide, and you should begin here today, tomorrow morning, and try to practice every day if you can. Or you can be guided every week in the dark awake circles inside the temple, where I hold the practice with you and a community holds you. The guide is the map, the circle is the journey. Walk together. When you are ready for that, the temple is a home for your temple. So let me leave you with this. Okay, insight opens the door, my friends, but only practice moves you into the house, right? Today I handed you the practice. What you do with it in the ordinary dark of tomorrow morning is where your whole ascension begins. So here is how to walk forward. And today I'm naming the deepest step first. If something in you is ready, right? Not just to understand this, but to be guided into, and I'm looking over here, but to be guided into, right? Um, into it week by week in community, come to the temple, join the dark awake circles, okay? That is where the practice becomes life. And I always talk about daily hygiene with the power of release, right? This is the reframe and the recognize, release, and reframe. Okay, this is the reframe. This is what you release and unfold into. Okay, and this is where the practice becomes life. And that is the invitation I want you to hear tonight. So here is again, maybe I didn't show you this. Here is the actual temple QR code so that you can join, right? It is $44. This is the founding rate for new members right now. It is a subscription. You get a 7-day free trial, right? And then the payment begins. You can cancel any time. All right. So that is there. And also, whether or not you are ready for that, you can download the practice guide anytime, available on the website. Okay, as I have shared before, this is the guide link. Go get your guide, my friends. They're free. Okay, the QR code takes you there. All right. And the third, subscribe and turn on notifications because next week we begin to move into the second body of life, right? And the second body of light is Ren. And Ren is the body of the return, the vessel of the soul's return to the physical world, the bridge between spiritual and the earthly. It's on the path is on power-profit.com. Okay. And oh, is it the Ren? Yes. And if you want to know exactly where you stand in the 9 bodies of light, the path, okay, across all the bodies, there's a 9 body point reading. All right. It will show you, here is the QR code for the 9 body point reading. And I'm just going to give you a little understanding of what this is. Um, it is the 9 body points of reading. So the 9 bodies are a map, and the reading tells you where you are on it. It's a 90-minute signature session with me. I read you across all 9 bodies, and I tell you where your signal is strong, where it is blocked, and what is asking to be released. You will leave with a written path prescription, the gate where your work begins. And this is the founding rate for the first 30 people that get readings is $222. And what that does, as I said, it tells you where you're blocked, what you need to release. And this is the prescription is telling you about the 9 chambers, right? So the reading names the body where your signal is blocked. For each of the 9 bodies, there is a chamber. And so this is once you get your prescription, the 9 chambers is a focused practice module, one teaching, a 7-day practice, and a written right? And we focus on where your signal is blocked, okay? And that will be with that path prescription from the 9 body point reading. And that is at a fee of $144. So this takes you to where the 9 body point reading is, and then you can scroll down and you can see the chambers and what that includes. But these things all come together, all of it, to bring resonance to your life, to align you with the cosmos, abundance of prosperity. This is what it is all about. Now, people have tried all these other things and maybe felt like they didn't work, the spiritual stuff. It's time now to try something else. If you feel you're stuck, if you want an alternative to the same old, this is definitely not same old, same old. Not at all. This is a powerfully important space, essential space, particularly for melanated peoples. But anyone can do this work because everyone has melanin. Okay? Okay? So you came in this week believing your body was a problem to be managed, right? You are leaving with a practice to come home to, and every single morning and every single night, right? For the rest of your life. And this is not a small thing, my friends, okay? This is the beginning of everything, and I'm very excited about it. I will see you next week at the second gate. Until then, beloved, my friends, ashe, practice, and please don't judge yourself. Be free in the temple, and remember, be kind and love on the temple. Thank you so much for your time today. I sincerely appreciate all of you for being here. Again, if you've been here the whole time, I ask you to subscribe, hit notifications, and like. For anyone who's visiting, please subscribe and like and hit notifications. The subscribe and like puts us in the algorithm in such a way that individuals who may need, and look, YouTube is having a hard time categorizing these videos, right? Finding the space that it sits in. And people are missing these very important videos, these very important messages, these live streams that could potentially change somebody's life. So subscribe and like. Thank you, my friends. Please have a phenomenal day. And I am Minister Dr. Akila Ka Ma'at signing out. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.